family. It's Nomsa here at Ngosi Talk Shows. Find your own voice lit from within. So with me today, I'm with Grant Morel. How are you, Grant?
I'm okay, thank you, Nomsa. And how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So our topic today is, anyway, congratulations, Grant, for your award. Do you want to
Thank
tell
you.
the audience about your award, please?
Yeah, thank you, Nomsa. I'm very, very, very privileged and very grateful to be recognised and awarded with an honorary doctorate for my work. So I have an honorary doctorate in human psychology, humanities, and education. So for my work, which I do as a coach and a trainer, so I'm now honorary Dr. Grant Morrell. So I'm very, 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 very pleased, very privileged to have that. It's
So
been,
how come you've not changed your title there?
yeah, it's been crazy busy with various things since then, and I've not.
Dr. Grant Morel.
There we are. I will do that next time.
Awesome. And I'm just loving it. That's great news, Grant. We do need some great news
We
at
do.
Ngosi Talk Shows. I'm so pleased for you guys, and I'm sure our audience are really, really pleased for you as well.
Thank you. Thank you for all the congratulations from all of you. Anyway, thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, amazing. So the topic today is how to cultivate an overcoming adversity mindset. Grant, I know that you chose this topic. Could you please explain to our audience what was in your mind when you chose this topic? If there's any reason behind it, please.
Thank you. Yeah, and there is a reason behind it. It's very poignant, really. And it is to think that we go through various levels of we have various levels of mindset. And at some point in your life, if you haven't already, you will sadly at some point encounter some adversity. You really will. It's just part of the human condition. We will. Um, so when it does it, it's about overcoming adversity because it will come. Adversity will come in a large or small way. You will be adversity. So better to be forearmed than forewarned, I'll say. Okay. So in other words, better to realize that a storm may be coming at some point. Again, it may not be a big storm that washes you away, but it will be a storm and it will be a little unpleasant at times. So how you can strengthen yourself, how you can strengthen your resolve, how you can help to overcome that is by preparing, or in other words, developing or cultivating overcoming adversity. Because when it comes, you need to be able to rise to that occasion. You need to have tools in place to overcome that adversity. And that's what I thought was really good because we always talk about positivity in mindset. Let's talk about the negativity. Let's talk about when it goes wrong, what do you do? I'm a pilot. I learned to fly aeroplanes. And in personal development, we always look at positivity. Flying a plane, you do it confidently, but you actually think of negativity quite a lot. I.e., you must prepare for an engine failure. You must prepare for radio communications failure, right? You may prepare for a fuel or navigation to go wrong. Right? You prepare for these things. If this happens, I will do that. You prepare because that actually gives you confidence. Because when you think, even if that happens, I can still handle it. We've factored that into the equation. We can still escape. We can still do that. We can divert. We can land. We can use this system instead of that system. Once you've done that, that really gives you confidence to do your work because you've got all that stuff handled. So if you fly aeroplanes like that, which is very technical and it's very important, a lot of lives depend on it. If that's a good system for aeroplanes, why would that not be a good system for your life, for your career, for your business? So that's why I thought it'd be a great subject to have how to cultivate an overcoming adversity mindset. Nomsa, what are you thinking? What's going through your mind? What's your take on that subject?
I like it when you say you have to be prepared. And you even used because you're a pilot, you used like the example that like when you take off, you get prepared for everything, even like the flight when it leaves. They have to make sure that everyone, the passengers, are protected, and you as a pilot, you have to make sure that you know what you're doing, and then all the buttons are there for you to press, and the control you can get through to the control and stuff like that. So when it comes to the storm as well, you mentioned the storm, Grant, you have to be prepared to overcome adversity mindset is very essential to actually navigate life's challenges and emerging stronger. That involves resiliency, involves optimism, involves it will also involve the ability to learn and grow from difficult situation, and also embracing a growth mindset at the same time. And you have to believe in growth. I don't know about you, Grant, but there are some people who believe in success when things are okay. Once the storm comes, they forget everything, every success they ever received.
Oh, yeah.
They just go down completely.
Yeah,
So, what do you say about that?
very true. That's why I think the gratitude process is very important, because that way you clearly got it in your mind, and in the recency of your mind. It's not in the distant past. It's what you do that morning. If you're writing down things you're grateful about, things you've achieved, then at least if something goes wrong, you can think, well, yeah, but hang on. But I've also done this, which was good. This was good. This was good, and that one's not so good. It's not so bad after all. It helps to have that balance, that equation in your mind, because it will help you when it comes to adversity. That's what I really think about that.
Yeah, yeah, it's very, very, very important to actually uh to have this gratitude. We have like these meetings we have with Sai and stuff,
Mhm.
and sometimes we get to a point like we do get coached, but at the same time there are some meetings where we have to, like, the coach has to get us very to a place where we feel uncomfortable,
Yeah.
so that when we coach our clients, we know that we are there to help them. So
Yeah.
we were talking about the mindset and stuff, and we're just talking, and then it came to my point, and then everyone is talking about stress, and I was like, for me since lockdown, me and the stress, we don't get along. And I was
Uh-huh.
explaining to them that I made a choice during lockdown that I will never allow stress in my life or anything to actually take off my path where I'm going. Even the problems, I will never allow them. And I made that promise myself. Every time I find myself in my lowest, I use gratitude, like what you said, Grant.
There you go. There you go.
It works.
Yeah. Very powerful thing. Very, very powerful. As you know, my clients, unless they decide to do it, I won't welcome them. I won't welcome them because I know how important it is. And if any of them ever slip, I'll say to them, so what are you grateful for today? What are 10 things? And if they stumble and don't answer it correctly, I say, you haven't done it today, have you? You haven't done it. I can tell you haven't done it. This is why you're feeling that way. So then I get them to do it in the moment, and then they tend to feel quite a lot better, which allows them to see more positivity in their life, more options, how to deal with things, and then they are open to looking at a solution, which gets them moving, gets momentum, gets them on the road to recovery, which is very important. But yeah, I mean, there's a way that you have to do it, and that's what I do in my sessions. But yeah, it is so important because you will encounter stuff, either for yourself or your spouse. If your spouse or your boss or your team member is going to have that, it's going to have a rub-off effect on you. So you need to be able to turn that around. Okay, you need to level up that equilibrium in your life. And if you do that, life will start coming good. But I wondered, when we look at it, if we look at various forms of adversity that may come your way. And by the way, if anybody's listening online now, which well, obviously people are, I'd like you to type in right now, what adversity you've encountered. And if you have a question how to overcome it, we're trying to help you live in the moment how to do that. Okay. But of course, we rely on you to type your questions in the chat or on social media. If you don't do it, we can't answer it. We're only going to guess what it is you want to know. But I'd rather not guess. I'd rather be accurate and answer exactly what you want to know. So if you've got any examples of adversity that's either coming your way, has come your way, for you or someone you know, and you don't know how to deal with it, please type it in the chat, and Nobs and I will be happy to answer it. Okay. Nobs, I guess you're monitoring the social media, are you? What are you on here?
Yes.
Cool, cool, cool. So thinking about this as we do, different types of adversity you get. You could get career. Okay, think about career. And maybe Nobs and I are just going to talk through career for a little bit and think about what kind of things we encounter or people encounter when it comes to adversity in career. One of the things that I've realized is that when it comes to career, things don't always go according to plan. Now, we have a plan, and I'm reviewing someone's plan in the business later today. And as I say to them, plans are nothing at all. But planning apparently is everything, according to a very famous military general. What does that really mean? What it means is it's good to go into the art of planning, the science, if you will, of planning something out. But as we know, we probably all heard the expression that the map is not the territory. Meaning, if you look at a map, a plan, it's not exactly the same as the real life thing. When you get there, when you go on a map, you go on a walk across a hill, you look at it on the map, when you go there, it's not quite the same as we thought. The ground's wet and it's heavier to walk on, or the incline's a little bit steeper than we thought. The ground's a bit more bumpier than we thought. It's a little bit different. Or the sun's in my eyes. It didn't say that on the map. There's little things that change. So the art of planning is very important, but the plan itself will probably have to change a little bit along the way. You'll have to edit it. You'll have to pivot. You'll have to change along the way. Be prepared that the map is not an absolute plan that you'll follow to the letter T. It would be nice if you could, but unfortunately, life has a way of changing things. It changes the weather, economic, finance, corporate structure will change. People will buy in. They will sell a division. They will rebrand. All these things. They will have new suppliers. This is just in Korea, nothing to do with a relationship, but just in Korea alone. There's all these things that can change, that can be waiting just around the corner, that you have no way of knowing about right now. So if you go in with your dogged set plan, is that going to work? No. You're going to have to wiggle along. I always use the analogy of the map, or the sat nav, the navigator on your car. You go from one city to another, it's got the map all routed out. But what happens? There's a car accident, there's a road closure, there's road works, there's some bad weather which closes the road. What do you have to do? You have to find an alternative route to get to the same destination. And business, career, relationships, they're all exactly the same. Things happen. So yeah, make a plan, but be prepared to replan, because it has to pivot along the way. But at least if you've got a plan, you've got a pretty good idea of the direction in which you're heading and how you approach it. So that's a good thing. So let's take a look at career. Should we look at career? What do you want to look at? Relationship? What do you want to look at, Nobsa?
Let's start with career.
Career. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
job, not a business, a career. Okay. So
Mm-hmm.
you've got a career now. I don't know if that's going to be in web design, whether it's going to be in accountancy, whether it's going to be a career in the arts. I don't know what it is, what you do, but you start off with your career. Here you are here, and that's where you want to be. Well, hopefully you have thought out where you want to be. Now, if you're 18 years old, for example, it depends where you are. You're 18, you're 20, you're 25, you're 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. Are you going to go on and retire at 55? Are you going to go into 60, 65? Or are you going to work till you drop? The world's a changing place. There's no right or wrong, but depends where you are. You may have your end goal in mind, exactly where you want to end with that career. Or perhaps you look at it and you think, well, that's just where I am now. This is where I want to look at the next step or the next 2 steps of my career. So think about where you want to be. You may be a manager, and you are a manager maybe, and then you want to go to being senior manager. Senior manager. You want to go for it. You go for that. You planned it. You've done the work. And then what happens at the last minute? There's a merger. There's a change. There's a change of putting 2 departments together. And now you've got 4 managers instead of 2, and you're all competing for that position. Or perhaps they close your department. The specialist that you've been for all these years, and now they close it. What do? Do you stay with the same company? Do you try to take your CV, your resume, you tidy that up, and you try to take that expertise to the position you want, but in a different company? Do you need to relearn something? But there's a change, isn't there? There's a little bit of adversity. Your snow globe has been shaken up. Right? Your will's been shaken, and it's going to shake you. Your plan gets knocked off tracks for a little bit. So how do you deal with this? Do you look at it as a disaster? Are you a personal failure? Is it a lack of planning because you didn't read enough information about the company to see that they was going for that merger, that acquisition, or that the productivity of your department was going down, and therefore that's going to spell danger for that department? Is that your fault? Well, if it's your fault, how do you approach that? Do you say it's a bad thing I've done, or do you say in future I need to make sure I don't make these oversights? In future, I need to prepare so I can see these things coming and do what I often call packing your parachute. If you think things aren't going to work out there, you need to pack your parachute, because you're going to be jumping out the plane at some point to save your film, right? And you've got to land in a nice firm soil where you're safe, right? In other words, you may want to get out and get to another company, or perhaps you want to take that experience and move to a different industry. Do you need to pack your parachute, or do you just need to do a bit more work? Do you need to build better relationships within that company? I don't know. But maybe there's some lessons for you to learn, because after all, you do not want to be making the same mistakes. We all make mistakes. Join the club, join the line, join the queue. We've all done it. No one gets out free from this one. Everyone makes mistakes. But the important thing is that we learn from them. You've heard this said 1,000 times. What are the pattern of the mistakes that you keep making? Because we all have patterns. What's the mistake? Oh, yeah, I go again. I've done that mistake again. What's going on here? What's going on with you? Why do you keep making this mistake? Why is it the same kind of mistake? There's the lesson in front of your face, but you're not paying what? You're not paying attention to it. What do you need to learn? What fear do you need to overcome to allow you to look that problem in the face and deal with it? Because the answer will probably lie there in my experience. So if you put the visor over and pretend you haven't seen it, you're only eluding yourself. You're eluding happiness and success in yourself. Okay, so don't do that. Look at it. Be honest. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just be clinical and open. Why do you keep making these mistakes? What's causing it? Really important. What's causing you to keep making these mistakes? Be honest. Be brutally honest. And if there's something that you can't fix yourself, go and hire help. Go get a coach. Go do something. Go get someone who will understand, get to the root of the problem and help you fix it, so that you stop making these mistakes and you start to see the path ahead and you navigate around it to reach ultimate success and happiness in your career. That's the way I see it. Nomsa, you must have had experience of this. You must have seen this, experienced it yourself, or known someone who has. What do you think?
Guys, I have had too many knockdowns in my life, and but there's one thing that I don't do is I don't give up.
Ah.
Sometimes the people that we are surrounded with, they might contribute to that. Having people that you think they believe in you, and then the next thing they don't. So for me, what I have learned, guys, what I have taught myself, that I've taught myself that people I sell out. I'm a sellout. I can sell, I can turn on Grant at any time. 1 minute I can be nice to Grant, and the next second, but if Grant's confidence depend on me, or me saying how wonderful he is, that means that the minute I switch to my own jealousy or to my own situation, my own issues, that means I can bring Grant down with me. So what I have learned is in life, you have to be strong. When you whatever plans you have with job wise, let's say you get excited, you go to you go, like, let's say you apply for promotion, you don't get that promotion. Instead of getting angry, I just need to know there's another 1,000 application that I need to do before I get angry. I just have to know that I need to keep trying. For me, guys, if I open the fridge, I have food, and then I have water to drink, that's enough for me. I can still going. Most of the things that brings people down is the shame of worrying about what people will think. If my business now don't go right, what would my friends think? What would my family members think? But it's none of their business, guys. You go and apply for promotion, your spouse don't believe in you, and then that hurts when somebody, but it shouldn't be like that. Always have your own confidence, work on yourself. I've taught this, Carol Ann taught me this during lockdown. I never looked back. Wherever things go wrong, I look at where I contributed to this problem. I'll fix it. If I can't fix it, I'll keep smiling. I'll just keep learning. And if I get knocked down, guys, the more I get knocked down, the more I want to succeed, the more I get hungry. You know, like when you get thirsty, like you get hungry, like if I get knocked down and sit down on the sofa, I'm like, oh, okay, what can I do now? And then I'll sit down and until I find a solution. I don't give up. And I don't do it for people. I just do it for me. What is good for me?
You're very
So
good at that, Nomsa. You're very, very good
it's
at
a
it.
tough attitude to have. First, you got to cry to create that attitude. Yeah, it's a tough. I don't know about you, Grant. When I look at you, I think you have the same attitude as me. Like you just that person who goes for the things because, like you kept telling me about your doctorate honors degree, and every time you tell me, you're telling me about it because they mention it that they're going to do this ceremony. You never give up. Every time I see you, you are like, oh yeah, and I'll be like, let's just pray about it. Let's just pray about it for them to take that action. And it took them a few months, did they?
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
it
but
took
you
a
never, in your mindset, you never ever said
while. Right.
any negative thing to me, Grant, and say, I don't think they're just talking by. You kept saying, I just
Oh,
have to keep trusting.
the thing is a trust, and also I have other things, other irons on the fire. There's other things I'm doing. That's one of several things. So if it comes up, fantastic. That'll be brilliant. But it's not going to dictate my life if I didn't get it. Don't get me wrong, I'm extraordinarily grateful, and I'm really pleased about that. But if you didn't get it, I didn't get it. It's not going to define me. I'll also do other things, you know, have a few things going. And this is the same as if you're in a career. If you're going for a job, don't be pinning everything on that one job interview. Have several of them, have several going. So one's going to work out. And as Nopsa said, if you send 1,000 applications, you're going to get one or two, you know, and this applies to anything in life. If you, I don't know, I mean, it's a slightly unusual one, but if you're dating, and you want to date someone, I mean, probably you want to date that one person, but if you just want to go on a date, well, just ask lots of people on a date because someone's going to say yes. Yeah, it's gonna, don't care who you are, someone's going to say yes if you keep asking. Keep asking, not the same person, keep asking lots of people, someone's going to. And then people's situation change. You might ask someone, say, oh, actually, I'm already with someone. Okay. If you went back to them and asked them 6 months, they may no longer be with that person. Not that you'd wish that upon them, but situations change. The map is not the territory, right? They plan to marry that person, but maybe that didn't work out. Maybe they're free on the market and maybe they're not looking to date at that point, or maybe they are. You never know. So just keep going. Just keep going with the situation. Um, Always have more irons in the fire. Keep going. Or as good old Anthony Robbins said once, if someone says no to you, now this is in any aspect of life, just say, oh, I'm sorry. Next. For the next thing, because there's always opportunities. They're just like buses. Once you keep this momentum going, once you keep doing it, it builds up. It's rather like a dynamo. It's hard to move first of all. You turn the wheel of it like, and once it starts going, it starts doing a thing called freewheeling. You don't need two hands. You can just do it with one finger in the end, like that. It's easy once you keep it going, once you've created momentum. Once you get there, it's not a question of looking for opportunities. There's always opportunities. It's then your biggest problem is learning to ascertain which one to accept. All right. That's that. And that's really it. That's how you overcome adversity is don't be poor in things. Don't be desperate. Start to set yourself up in the future so that you have abundance in what you're doing. And that's a beautiful place to be because once you get there, you don't come across as desperate. Your body language is desperate. Nothing's desperate. And guess what happens when you're not desperate? You get more opportunities. Okay. So it is about pushing that dynamo around, building it up. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The more you do it, the easier it gets. The easier it gets, the more you do it. It's as simple as that. And then you start overcoming adversity. Because if you get a problem, if you get some adversity, okay, that's only one of several opportunities in your life. This is why on a wheel on a car, you have 4 bolts, 4 wheels. On each wheel, you have 4 bolts, right? Maybe. Because if one bolt comes off, right, don't go too fast for sure, but you'll still be able to get home safely. Take that analogy in your life, your business, everything you do, and it will start going well. Start to create abundance. Don't just wait for it to come to you. Don't just sit there and look at the stars and wait for abundance to drop in your lap. Fortune favors the brave, those who actually go out and create it. Because the more you create, the more the universe will give you. But it needs to see you make a bit of an effort first, right? If it's raining, don't just wait for someone to put a cover over your head. Go and find a tarpaulin. Go and find some leaves. Go and create some shelter yourself. Or someone once aptly said to me, if your boat hasn't come in, try swimming out to the boat. I like that. Don't just wait for everything to happen. Go out and do it. And part of the secret, and my good friend was actually one of the main people in the film The Secret. The key part is you have got to take some action. You've got to help it along. If you want to win the lottery, you may just have to go and buy a ticket also.
You can't dream about it.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now do you want to talk about relationship?
Possibly. So have we got any questions coming, by the way? Any questions coming?
Let me check if we have any
If
question.
there are any questions, I'd love to answer those and make it real. Otherwise, we'll just go with something that we feel like doing.
Let's go with something. I don't see any question.
Well, what about relationships then? So where should we go, Nom? So should we go that you're looking for a relationship, your relationship isn't working correctly, or you come out of a relationship and you're reluctant to go back in, you don't want the same problems to repeat themselves. Where should we pitch this for relationships?
You are in a relationship and it's not going how you want it.
All right. Okay. So here we go. So adversity, how do you overcome adversity? It may happen. Maybe we've been there, you've been in a relationship, you've got in a relationship, there was lots of love at the beginning, there was great intimacy, everything was good. And as you go along, maybe the lacquer comes off it a little bit. You become a little bit familiar with each other. You become busy. You get a promotion at work. Maybe you have a bigger mortgage to pay or more rent to pay. You have you have children and the focus changes. It goes on them as opposed to yourselves. The dynamic changes a little bit. The lady feels like she's become a housewife or a cook and the man feels like he's just a walking paycheck. For example, okay, that role can be reversed. It doesn't matter, but you get the idea, and you stop feeling sexy, if that makes sense. You just become functional, right? That can happen. The knobs are sort of smiling there, right? These things can happen. So the dynamic changes. Can that happen? Well, be real about it. As your situation, as your criteria of life in that relationship changes, yeah, things are going to alter a little bit, right? Here's the other side too, right? You get busier. Now, I learned this when I was learning to fly years ago. I did an airline pilot's medical, and the airline pilot medical officer said to me, "Now look, you know, this is what happens at the time. I was very young, very fit, great blood pressure, all that stuff." He said, "As you get older, that will change a little bit." He said, "But don't ever get a little bit fatter and come to me and say, 'Hey, it's just like middle-aged spread.'" He said, "Don't tell me that. Airline pilots always tell me this." He said, "What changes is your lifestyle." He said, now, there is a certain thing as men get a little bit older, you produce less testosterone. Testosterone by default is fat burning. So, yeah, there is going to be a slight increase in fatness as you get older and testosterone levels drop. But generally speaking, don't make excuses. You see, what really happens as you get older, you stop running around playing football, chasing women, going to the gym. You stop doing these things and you start getting a more senior position, working longer hours at work, coming home a bit more tired, looking after kids. You don't look after yourself as much and you get a bit fatter, right? And he gave an analogy of fuel tanks. He said, pilots love this one, fuel tanks. They get the analogy. You've got reserve tanks here, and they understand that. He said, so look at it this way. And this happens for men, it happens for women. So plan for this. How are you going to combat that? How are you going to have the mindset to overcome that adversity? Okay. Someone said to me, go, oh, you're a hypnotherapist. Maybe you could speak to my wife. She's put on a bit of weight. She could lose weight. And I said, is this your idea or your wife's idea? Because I need your wife to come to me and say that's her idea. I can't just go, hey, I understand you're putting on some weight and I'm going to help you lose it because your husband says you're fat. That's not going to go down too well, right? So, like, if she would like to talk to me about it, by all means, she can approach me. And if that's something she would like to do, we can discuss that. But so you got to look at it. So if you're looking at your partner and feeling that, and feeling they're becoming giving you a little less attention, maybe putting on a few extra pounds. If that is an issue, maybe it's not an issue. But people are different. Look in the mirror. How are you treating them? Are you paying enough attention? And the attention you used to? Are you doing the things they always liked? Are you taking a little bit of time out to do those special things? Are you putting on a few extra pounds? Because I get this all the time. People tell you, "Oh, my ideal man or my ideal woman." There you go, and out comes the list. Reams of lists. They got to have this and have that and have that. And I'm like, great. Are you all these things? Because if you're not, why have you got the audacity to be asking for that in someone else? I mean, be fair. Let's get real here. You've got to meet them halfway, as someone once said. If you want to buy the lottery, well, at least meet me halfway and go and buy a ticket, right? Go and level up with these people. How do I find a successful man? Become a successful woman. I say, find a successful man. Let's get real. Let's get real about it. You know? How do I find a beautiful woman? Become a beautiful man. I don't mean cosmetic surgery. I mean, become a beautiful person. Become beautiful in what you do, the way you act, the way you control yourself, the way you treat other people, the way you conduct your life. Become beautiful and you will attract Beauty. As a great person once said, oh my God, was it Bob Proctor? Forgive me if I'm wrong. He said, stop chasing butterflies with a net. Stop trying to net and capture things, because when you do it, they try to fly away. Instead, make your garden so beautiful that butterflies want to come. Okay. So are you exhibiting what you're asking for? Because if not, it's a little bit unfair, isn't it? Right. So I mean, I know none of us are perfect, and we don't need to be perfect, but at least be on the road to walk in the talk for what you want. Okay. And if you do that, then you've got the right to have a conversation with your partner. So this is the mindset of overcoming adversity. Okay. This is the mindset of saying, if this happens, we will do that. Let's go back to flying for a moment. Everybody, people say to me, oh, you're not afraid of flying. And I say, I'm not afraid of flying, not at all. I have a healthy fear of crashing, but not flying. So how do you avoid crashing? Well, you'll have a checklist. Pilots have a checklist. They prepare and they plan for things. Example, there may be a pilot with a co-pilot, and they will say something like this. In the event of an engine failure, oh my God, I know what you personal development people think. Don't say something negative. Grow up, bad things happen. Let's face it and let's deal with them. Let's plan. This is positive. This is not negative. It's positive. As you're taking along the runway, if we lose an engine, God forbid, it does occasionally happen, very, very occasionally. But you want to say, oh my God, what should we do? Do you want to say that in the moment? Or do you want to say, we've got a plan for that? It's pre-planned, it's practiced, and we know we don't even have to say a word. We just do it. That gives you supreme confidence. In the event of an engine failure, I will close that engine, I will retrim, I will lower the undercarriage, and we will make a controlled crash. Yes, controlled crash. It will be a crash, technically. Controlled, meaning we will walk away from it. There may be a couple of cuts and bruises, but we're going to walk away from it. And as we say in aviation, any crash you can walk away from is a good one. Right? Damage limitation. And in the event, it won't be, oh, shall I do this? No, 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 no. It's predetermined. I will do this. You will do that. There won't be any discussion, but you've got half a second to react, and that's what we'll do. You practice it, and that gives you confidence. Hopefully, it never, ever happens. Fantastic. Brilliant. Great. But your insurance policy, if you will, is the fact that we know how to deal with this crap when it happens. Right? So that's the same you can do with your relationships. In the event of this, what are your non-negotiables? My coach travels the world, and some funky time zones and stuff and busy, but they have a pact, him and his wife, is that no matter what's going on, no matter where you are, before going to bed, they will always speak to each other. They will always do that. Nothing's going to get in the way of that. Even if it's 2 minutes, even if they just jump off stage and they're off there for 3 minutes, they'll just phone. It has to happen. That's the non-negotiable. Great. Works. Good policy. What is your crash landing procedure? What is it? Even when it's all going crazy, what are you going to do? Make those plans. And I know some things may happen on the time, but the more you do it, the better you get. Maybe you never have to use it. Maybe you do. But it's going to help you overcome adversity and those tricky times. And that way it gives you confidence. It's a self-assurance. And then you and your partner will feel that, we can handle this stuff. What will happen? There's 1,000 scenarios in relationships, isn't there? What will happen if your parents get sick? What are we going to do about that? Are you going to live with us? We're going to live with them. They're going to sell the house and build an extent. How will we deal with that? What are we going to do? What will we do with that? What happens if our kid gets a drug problem? Something like, I don't know. How will we approach that as parents? Think of these things. How can you do it while still keeping the relationship alive? Because these external, sort of semi-external factors put pressure on a relationship. and it's real life. What can I say? You're planning to go and buy that holiday home abroad, maybe if you're in that privileged position, and your partner gets sick. They get a problem. They can't travel. We've got to book that holiday home. We can't use it. What do you do? Do you wait for a while and see if that person gets better? Do you sell that holiday home and build a different kind of holiday home closer to home where they can get there? Or do you sell it and reinvest the money in something? What do you do? How are you going to deal with that? So, yes, we make plans in life, don't we? But sometimes we have to adjust those plans according to the criteria, the situation that life throws at us. All right. Things like that. So, Nomsa, what do you have you encountered any of this? Have you seen this with the clients that you help in relationships? How do you deal with it?
Of course, I have had encounter with this myself as well. Sometimes the problems will throw up mostly in a relationship. Like myself, I'm a relationship coach. As I said before, I work on myself a lot, and sometimes I find myself like my spouse, like he's throwing things at me unexpectedly. But there's one thing that principle that I have, that I cannot get involved in a situation that is not mine, because I know that if he's throwing that at me, it means that's what he is feeling. So I have to find out where it comes from. If he wants to open up with me, he'll open up. But if he feels that he does not want to open up, I leave him alone, and I deal with me. So that's why I say, guys, it's very, very important. When Grant was saying the things that you are requesting from the other person, are you that person? So if you are not that person, why would you request to be the other person to be what you are not? So it's very, very important. I find it with my clients as well. Like, Grant, you're saying, I need a successful, like, if you want a successful woman, you have to be a successful man. Sometimes not really being a millionaire and wanting to date a millionaire, your mindset has to align with
Yeah.
the person you want to date. You got to understand what does a businessman, how he works, a businesswoman, their mindset, how do they work, how the problems they acquire within the business, the things that along the way, the challenges that comes in. Because like if you are a business, like I say with my spouse, like sometimes on a weekend, sometimes I'll have meetings, and I don't mix meetings in my family always number one. But when I have meetings that I see my family can compromise, if we're not doing anything, I take them. And then they'll be saying to me, it's weekend. And I'll be like, you're playing a game, so I'm not really taking your weekend. And I'll be saying to the kids that you are doing this, so I'm not really taking it. But if I don't tell them, they wouldn't notice that I'm in a meeting. But the moment I mention it, they will start telling me the reason why it can never happen, because it's a weekend and blah, blah, blah. So all those things is the things that you have to put that into consideration, like all these things, like what is happening when you work for yourself and also being successful. I see girls, they're like, give me a rich man, or maybe men, they're like, give me a rich woman, but they don't know how that woman works, the mindset. They don't have the skills for it. So no matter how much you try, if you want to date somebody, if you don't have the skills for that, because you got to understand it. Why you asking? You got to understand it first. So it has to align with what you want. So for me, how I deal with my relationship and how I see things work is you got to understand yourself, and you have to get out of the judgmental place. Don't come in a place of judgment or judging people or judging yourself as well, because it's very easy for us to judge ourselves in everything that we do. So don't judge anyone or don't judge yourself, and stay in that positive mindset, it is very, very important if you understand intelligent psychology. It means like if my mind is taking me to this a negative mode, I got to bring myself back and stay in that place. And also, Grant, you mentioned the woman and her husband, how they have these principles. I love that because we take life for granted.
Yeah. Yeah, we do.
Honestly, we take life for granted in so many ways in life. We have so many options in a way that we neglect the principles of life. We don't value human being anymore. Like people, men, they know if they don't have to work on their relationship, they can go and have sex somewhere else. Women, they're like, I can get friends and benefits. I don't have to work on my relationship. We have so many options, guys. We
Yeah.
are spoiled with options, but all those options in the end, we end up lonely because when you hear reality hits you, like, okay, I took that person for granted. And that's why for me, every time I refuse, I always look at my spouse and I'm like, whatever goes on between me and you, or whatever is going on in my life, I'll always value you. I'll always value your present. I look at my children, I'll always value them because I know that life is precious.
It absolutely is. Life is very precious. And you're right, Nonso, that people don't think about that often enough. And it is so precious. It's such a beautiful gift. Even as someone once said, someone was ill in hospital, a guy I knew many years ago, and he got ill in hospital and had a bit of a close call. And he came out, he said, it's so good to be out. And even the grey, rainy days, putting the dustbins out, putting the trash out, what a pleasure. What a great pleasure it is. It's true. Sometimes things need to be taken away or almost taken away before you really appreciate it. And this is what I think. You should think about these things. You should think about it sometimes and realize that, God, how lucky we are. As you said, you open the fridge, there's food, there's water, there's nature. Look outside. I mean, even if you live in a concrete jungle, there's probably some trees somewhere or a little park. And as I said, if you're disabled, you're in a wheelchair, you can't get out, you'll listen to us. That means you've got Wi-Fi. Jump online, go on YouTube, find a nature documentary, lose yourself in that. The mind can't necessarily tell the difference between an image and a memory and a thought. So go and do that. It will get you most of the way there. All right. So just surround yourself with beauty and you start to become more beautiful. You feel more abundant. And this is the way you can help to overcome adversity and stand back from the picture. I always say, like an artist, if you're painting a picture that close, you only get a small perspective. Stand back and take a more panoramic view and start, oh, that's not the whole thing. There's more stuff around it. Start to get the bigger picture. That means your problems do that. They become smaller. They're less significant than you think. What will I do? What will I do? Well, you'll find a solution. What happens if it goes wrong? Things go wrong in life. It doesn't kill you. It's okay. You'll get over it. Maybe I need to change the car. Maybe I need to move the house. Yeah, I can see you be upset about that. I get that. It shouldn't define your whole life. It shouldn't. You're bigger than that. Much bigger than that. Remember that. You are incredible. You are absolutely incredible. Remember that. Remind yourself of that. And when problems come your way, use your language correctly. Someone once said, when a major problem happened, they asked some guy who ran a big company, what do you think about it? He wasn't going to make it into a major problem. He said, I'm a little peeved by that, meaning I'm a little upset. He wanted to take the problem, make it smaller. Once you make it smaller, it's more manageable. And guess what? Who found a solution? He did, because he prepared over that mindset. He prepared to create and cultivate how to overcome adversity mindset. He minimized it. He made it smaller, which gave him greater thinking capacity so that he could Get over that. The sooner you do it, and I can't emphasize this enough, the sooner you do that, the better. Don't let it grow until you can't control it. The sooner you do it, better. And this is something that comes with exercise. You must listen. You must be prepared to try something new because, as someone once said, if you keep doing what you always did, you'll get what you always got. So quite clearly, you've got to open your mind to new possibilities and embrace them. Try it. Even if it doesn't make sense to you right now, try it. Try it. Some things don't look obvious on the outside, but once you try it, it makes sense. Go and do it. Try something new. Shake it up. Because once you start looking at things, once you start realizing how you can minimize problems, minimize it early and start to deal with it, and it becomes a much smaller problem. You feel much happier. You put better energy into it, clearer thinking, and better solutions come your way. These are ways that I can help people to overcome a diversity mindset. And of course, Nomsa and I will coach people through that. More than we can do actually here on the call, but this is the schematic, the skeleton on how we do it. But there's more ways we talk you through this and get you there. But what you do need to do though is to listen. You do need to be able to listen. If you don't listen, it won't work. All right, you got to listen and you got to embrace it. That's what you need to bring to the table. But don't forget if there's anything that is becoming a problem for you now in the future, you can overcome it most of the time if you cultivate and overcome an adversity mindset. That's what I wanted to say, pretty much in conclusion. How about you, Nomsa?
And also seek support is very, very important to seek support if you find yourself in a challenging situation. And don't worry about people's opinions because people worry about people. Or it's like it's a big thing where you say someone has a problem and instead of focusing on that problem, they worry about what they're going to think and stuff like that. Understand that the journey, when we are walking this journey of life, is as an individual. And we are on our own with God. Whatever we go through, we are facing that. We have people that are going to dedicate their time to help us. Allow people to help you if you need help. Get support here to Ngozi Talk Show as well. That's what we do. Get in touch with us as well. And know that you are an overcomer. You are an overcomer unless you allow yourself to stay in that stagnance as well. That's when you can't overcome anything. But know that I am an overcomer. I'm not just saying that, guys, for the sake of saying it. For me, personal development, in order for me, for personal development to work, I had to make a decision in my inner being. And making that decision is who am I, who I want to become, and what would my world look like when I achieve all these things that I say I want to achieve, and what would my tomorrow be like, and not somebody else, just me. And it got me excited, and that's why I do what I do, because I love it. So if you are watching us at Ngozi Talk Shows, please subscribe to our channel on YouTube and on LinkedIn. Please do share our video on Facebook. Please do share. And we also have 2 groups in Ngozi Talk Shows, Unique Billionaire Mindset on Facebook. You can join those groups and be part of the family. And on the website, we have a calendar. If you want to inquire about coaching, you can just send us a message. Once you send us a message, we'll get back to you and the process will begin there. And all the coaches are there. You can request whoever you want. If you want to speak to Grant, you can request Grant. If you want to communicate with me, you can request to communicate with me. So live with grace, everyone, and God bless.